George begins to feel less sure about his father's innocence. Anne has called a cab, but on Kate's insisting, George agrees to join them for dinner. He accepts happily. He begins to feel at home and says that none of the killer has changed, especially Joe. Kate proudly tells George that Joe hasn't been sick for 15 years. Joe interrupts too quickly to remind her of how ill he had been on that fateful day. Now George becomes suspicious when Kate makes a slip of a tongue, because the main reason in Joe's story was that the flu laid him up on that fateful day, which is why Steve is the only one in jail. George doesn't let Kate's slip pass. He's on the attack. He asks Joe what really happened on that day. The quarrel comes to a head when Chris tells Kate that he is marrying Anne, and George accuses Joe of hiding in bed after telling Steve to murder the pilots. Frank comes in with the horoscope. It implies Larry is alive. This is just what Kate wants to hear. George is leaving, and Kate openly directs Anne to go with him. She even packed her bag. Chris is furious. He tells George to go. Anne does too, but she exits to see him off, not to leave with him. Kate becomes hysterical and insists that Larry will come back. Joe says that she is insane. She's crazy, losing all control. Kate hits Joe. She tells Chris that if Larry is dead, his own father killed him, and Chris is totally amazed. Then Chris turns on his father in horror and at last hears the truth. It had been Joe who really gave the order to deliver the cylinder heads in order to save his firm. He had hoped that someone would notice the defects before it was too late. His father is guilty. Chris is shocked at his father's action, that he could think only of his business when boys were dying every day. Joe tries to explain himself. He's a man of business. What could he do? He was building a business for his sons, for his family. Chris cannot accept Joe's excuse that he did it all for his son, for the family. Chris attacks him, calling him lower than an animal. Joe stumbles away, covering his face and weeping.